Hello, I am so excited to talk to you about 10 horror books that you should read this fall. These are not specifically fall themed, but there aren't anything that are like weirdly out of season. There's nothing that the setting impacts the plot in a way that doesn't really feel like fall. I feel like fall is for reading spooky books in general, reading horror and thriller. Speaking of thriller books, I do have a video where I gave you 10 thriller books to read this fall, so make sure you check that out. It'll be linked in the description. So yeah, none of these are like overtly Halloween books, but they still fit the vibe of this season, and I think that you should read them. So first up, I have Jackal by Erin E. Adams. This is one of the horror books that definitely has a lot of thriller elements in it. We are following a character who goes back for a wedding to her very rural hometown. A young black girl goes missing, and she's not the first, and she will not be the last. It is an issue in her town that most people are just kind of brushing off, acting like it doesn't matter, and our main character feels that this is obviously not right and that she is going to do everything she can to figure out what's going on. The things in the woods are not good. They're not good. The ending of this is weird, which like I personally very much love. I think this has so many great discussions in it. I think it's really interesting. The forest is not a good place. It's a little bit evil. Next up, I have Intercepts by TJ Payne. This is a sci-fi horror following a man who works at a facility that does experiments on humans. And his work just followed him home. The government has this like secret plan to want to unlock certain parts of the human mind. They put the test subjects in extreme sensory deprivation, which caused everybody to kind of lose their minds, as you would expect. But they kept going, and now the research has been perfected, so they think. This one was so fun. It was so stressful. I'm just thinking about how much I love this book. It's so good. Oh, I just wanted to mention that all of these books are 4.5 and 5 stars for me. Like, I'm obsessed with all of them. So next up, we have Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson. This has a lot of different elements to it. It is horror, but it has a lot of Celtic myths and supernatural stuff. It's about family and the trauma that can come from that, like generational trauma, and how that affects people, and how like your secrets can impact other people as well. This one is weird. There's some things going on, and I desperately needed to know what was going on. Like, it was so intriguing. Incredible. Another weird book that you don't know what's going on, and then you find out, and it's just so good. Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang. We're following a narrator whose parents have fled China. They're both very talented musicians. She is also in a music school, and then her parents get into an accident and she ends up having to leave school because she can't afford it. She finds herself working in a like really weird cult like beauty shop. They force her to like use these beauty products. It's a weird time, and there's just like a sense of dread, and it's so good. Creepy. Another one that fits under creepy is Penpal by Dathan Auerbach. This book scared me. It scared me. I think about boxes all the time. This is actually 6 short stories that are put together in an attempt for this guy to make sense of what happened to him as a child. They are seemingly unconnected stories, but there's something very sinister going on that he doesn't realize. It's so good. This is one that started out on No Sleep on Reddit. I think I need to reread this book. Next up, we have another book that fits the like, what is going on? There's something weird happening, but like, you don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. And you're just like waiting for something to happen with it. Things are happening, but in a very subtle way. Very creepy. Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. I would recommend reading the author's note before reading this one. I don't think it's necessary. I have talked to people that didn't read it beforehand. The thing is, the author's note is at the back. There's no spoilers in it, but it kind of gives some insight into what Kirsten White was thinking when she wrote it. This is kind of centered around a TV show that is one of those Mandela effects where some people remember it in this way, some people remember it this other way. There's like a lot of misinformation because there's no like real evidence that the show even existed. So our main character used to be on the show, and then she ends up being removed from it, and her father separate from everybody. Then she is brought back to be with the cast for a reunion for a podcast, and everyone wants answers, but at what cost? This one is very similar to Knock Knock Open Wide. I think if you liked one, you could like the other one. This also has a weird, creepy, unexplained TV show in it. Next up, I have The Prettiest Girl in the Grave by Christopher Triana. This is following these teenage girls who are going to a grave to play the game The Prettiest Girl in the Grave. They think it's a joke. Turns out it's not. And one of our characters' moms actually played the game when she was a kid and barely survived. So she finds out that her daughter's doing this and is going to try to save her. This one is fun. There's a lot of horror elements in this that I wasn't expecting. There's a lot of like different kinds of things going on. It's very entertaining, a short read, very quick, and a good time. Then we have The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is a Carrie by Stephen King retelling. We are following Madison, who her father forces her to pass as white. Then she's at school, it rains on her hair, and they find out that she is mixed, and immediately everybody's opinions change. She already wasn't like very popular, but now they're like tormenting her. One of the instances was recorded and went viral, and then the school student leadership committee decides that to prove that they actually aren't terrible, they're going to have their first non-segregated prom. I would like to remind you that this is set in present day. There's a lot of incredible commentary on this. I like it more than Carrie by Stephen King. I really felt the tension in this one, and I don't even usually like YA books that are set in like a school setting. This one, absolutely incredible. It's done so well, has so many layers to it. Highly recommend. Then we have Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison. This is following a cynical 20-something who must confront her unconventional family's dark secrets. They are something. This has some little cult stuff in it. We are following a character who does not believe what her family believes. She's kicked out and told that she can never come back, but she gets an invitation to her cousin's wedding. She's like, this is not really allowed, but I'm going to go anyway. She goes back. Her cousin didn't invite her, and everyone is not very happy with her, and she is dealing with everything with familial relationships, traumas with that, issues with being the black sheep of the family. This one is so funny. And last but not least, Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. Oh, this one immediately sucked me in. I know some people found this one to be slower, but I, as soon as it started, needed to know what was going on. So in 1993, these friends made a film over 4 weeks called Horror Movie, and it was never released, but the director released a couple clips, and it has this like very underground cult following. It has been picked up and is being remade into a movie 3 decades later. So the man who played the thin kid is the only surviving cast member. There were various reasons that the people that made the original film are not around anymore. So we are getting the movie script in here, which is really cool. I think the audiobook for this one is incredible. The things that happen in this book, like, I don't even know how to talk about it because it's pretty slow paced, but there's just ominous things going on. There's weird things happening. There's some disgusting things, which is exactly what I want. So here are 10 horror books that you absolutely need to read this fall. They're all so good. Such an incredible time. If you've read any of these, I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you have any recommendations for me or anybody else for books to read this fall, let me know in the comments. If you've made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, you can leave a VHS for Horror Movie. If you want to check out my thriller recommendations, you can do that here. I also have a full playlist of other horror and thriller recommendations linked in the description. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope to see you soon. Bye.